Welcome back to Reimagine. We are here with session 3, creating and reimagining your dream schedule. Because whatever is in your calendar, you're trading your life for. So I hope it's worth you. And the truth is, whatever is in your calendar, you've also allowed. So pause and think about that for a second. I was in Landmark studying NLP techniques, and I was asked to reimagine my schedule and to include myself, even my breaks and my time off. And I thought, that seems so unfun. Like to have that, why should I have to schedule that? And I realized that if I didn't schedule it, it wasn't happening. So it's so important for us to begin to redo and reimagine our schedule with ourself, our family, and our faith in first, because we want to be able to pour from a full cup. Because we all know the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's so much better when our cup is overflowing instead of in constant burnout, which is what happens if we don't include ourselves in our schedule. And then another key component about this exercise is that often we've committed to many things that are no longer in alignment with us, or we built a version of our business that maybe isn't leaving us so happy and fulfilled anymore. And we might still love what we do, yet it's the version of the business that feels out of alignment. And so this is your opportunity where you get to, and note that I said get to, because you get to, it's all about perception, right? Yes, it's going to be homework from today's session, and you get to reimagine your schedule. And so today we're going to make your dream schedule. And I bet you no one's ever paused to ask you what it is that you want. What does your dream day look like? And maybe you've never even stopped to think about it. We just constantly go from one thing to the next. We're saying yes to this, adding so many things into our calendar, and then we haven't paused to realign. So in our community, we goal, plan, do, and then review. And the review part is super important. Most people will goal, plan, and do, and then they just keep doing and doing and doing. And we keep saying yes to more and more different strategies. And yet, maybe some of them aren't working so well anymore. Maybe some are working really well, and yet we don't have the time to commit to them because we're doing so many things. And so I love the book, The One Thing. If you haven't read that yet, highly recommend it. My coach had recommended it for us to read, and it took me about a year to do it on Audible, and I wish I had done it sooner. And one of the key philosophies he talks about in this book is that we have too many priorities. And what we really want is a priority, not priorities. And so the truth is, we want to get focused and prioritized. And this helps us not be busy and overwhelmed. So many people may say, I don't have time for that. I'd really love to, but insert excuse, reason, or alibi. And often one of the key things is, I don't have the time. The truth is, we can make the time, and we have to actually create the time in our calendar. The saying is, you can't find the time. Like, find it, look for it. Where's time? I don't know where it is. So you're never gonna find the time. You have to make the time and create the time. And often, in order to do that, it also means saying no to things and removing things from our calendar. So let's create a calendar that is focused and prioritized instead of busy and overwhelmed. And this is actually one of the key tools that we do in our Quantum Leap Blueprint, in our Own Your Goal lesson in Success Principles Society, which helps our clients actually start to achieve more in less time with less effort. So they often come in with an already exploding calendar. And they're like, Heather, how am I going to do this and study that and add this new task or homework or thing that you suggested? And it's because we actually take everything out of the calendar, and then we put back in what is going to help with the quantum leap method. So we want to ask ourselves, what's going to get us the largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort that will potentially make everything else easy or unnecessary? So I'm going to say that again. So instead of just saying yes to everything, we're going to ask ourselves, Is it going to help me get the largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort and make everything else easy or unnecessary? So instead of doing a bunch of things kind of well, we want to focus and do one thing really well. And it took me a while to understand this concept. So I used to have 3 businesses and 3 contracts. You've heard my story before. I worked 7 days a week, 18-hour days. I also volunteered. I literally had no more time to trade for money. And I didn't know what to do. I was constantly in burnout mode because I wasn't in the calendar. The self-care wasn't so much in the calendar. And I just kept feeling I had an empty tank, and then it would cost me my quality of life. And then I wouldn't be able to keep up with what I committed to. And I'd have to get rid of a bunch of things or release clients. And then that impacted the growth of my business. And so when I paused and actually asked myself, what does my dream day look like? And what am I doing in all of these things that I'm doing that are actually going to get me the largest result versus just keeping me busy? And this is when I started to look at, I had a network marketing business, my coaching practice. I was a life skills coach for brain and spinal cord injuries. I was a nutritionist for another company for brain and spinal cord injuries. I was volunteering at Landmark. I had so many things on the go. Oh, I had my website, launching my online brand. And I was also doing social selling for Danielle Amos in the Thinking into Results program for the Procter & Gallagher Institute, and also running one of their masterminds. So like literally couldn't work any harder, super overwhelmed. And I had to pause and ask myself, of all these things that I'm doing, what is going to get me to where I want? Which means I'm going to have to put some of these things down. And that's often the hardest thing to do, is to let go of things. And so I was splitting my energy between 5 to 6 to 7 things. So if you have 100% capacity and it's now split into 6 different compartments, you're only going to get 15% return in each one of those activities. And so I really, this whole time, I'd wanted to launch an online coaching practice. And I decided that if I was going to do it, I needed to be all in and release everything. And I didn't just drop everything just like change my mind and let it all go. I did it incrementally. So I slowly released clients, I slowly released contracts, until in 2019, I released all my contracts. I had a full private practice plus all of those contracts. And so my full private practice, I moved into 3 days. And I took 2 days a week to focus and be prioritized. I co-authored in 2 books. I started to hire my first team, which was super exciting because it's so much more fun when we don't have to do it all ourselves. And by the way, AI is so amazing now. There's things that it does for us that I used to pay people hours of work to do. So it's so much easier to build a leaner business now. But anyway, so going back then, I hired my first team and I restructured my life so that I knew that my private practice was the most amount of revenue and where I charged the most per hour. And they were some of my favorite clients. So that was the one thing I was going to keep. I was going to stay focused and prioritized on that. It's like as if you had a job. I had one version of a business, and I kept that version of the business while I built the next thing. And I knew that it was during that time, it was going to require serious focus, a lot more energy and effort, huge mindset shift, because the mindset would want to take you out and say, no, you can't go out on your own. Who are you to be an online coach? Even though I had built a business for 10 years and off referrals, not using social media or anything at that point, and had a full practice for a decade. Your mindset's amazing. Just because it's something slightly different, it wants to say like, no, you can't do it. It's going to be hard. But instead, I was able to take that energy that was split between 6 to 7 things. It even meant giving up the volunteering at the time and leaning into the thing that was going to get me the largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort. And that was a one-to-many model, not a one-to-one model. So in my old business, in my old practice, I worked one-to-one, which means I could only see so many clients because you only have so many hours in a day. And so I realized the next version of my business, to be sustainable and scalable and not cost me my quality of life and health and be in constant burnout mode, needed to be a one-to-many. So I actually took my energy and I leaned all in. And I had been wanting to break my six-figure glass ceiling, and I tried multiple times. And when I leaned all into one thing, it happened with the right team, with the perfect clients, in the perfect environment, and just in time. So I launched my first online coaching program February 17th of 2020, and the world shut down about a month later, like literally almost to the day. So I prayed and cried tears of joy and gratitude for my coach who'd helped me set me up for success, so that when that happened, I was in a perfect place to be able to close my in-person practice and go completely virtually. And it was amazing. So how many of you have your calendar filled with so many things and are splitting our energy amongst so many things? And so again, I just want to say quantum leap method instead of busy and overwhelmed. So what's going to get you the largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort? And that will potentially make everything else easy or even unnecessary. And so next time you go to add something in your calendar, I want you to ask yourself that. Is this going to help me get the largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort and make everything else easy and unnecessary? Or is it going to keep me busy and overwhelmed? So just keeping that in mind as you're building your new calendar. So diving into our workbook today, and I will just drop that in the chat again to make sure everybody has it. And welcome, it's glad to see you live. Thank you for joining us. And if you're on Facebook, make sure you come and register and join us in the Zoom room, or register to access the replays. And in order to grab the workbook, you need to register. It is on the replay page. The magic is in the doing. Listening is amazing. You'll think and you'll get ahas and wins and breakthroughs. But there's magic with pen to paper or typing, however you want to do it, because it's a Google workbook for you. But actually do the work. This is what I like to say. It's the slowing down to speed up, right? We're always like, go, 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 yes to this, adding things in. But when was the last time you paused and realigned and slowed down to be more focused and prioritized, so you could actually speed up and scale with simplicity instead of overwhelm? And so the first thing I've asked for you to do in our workbook today is to create your dream day. So what do you want your day to look like? How do you want it to start? So think about that for a second. What does your current morning look like? And what would you prefer it to look like? Is it feel chaotic? Is there no time for you? Think about that for a second. What is it currently, which is what we like to call the contrast, what's not working, and what would you prefer? Now, what I suggest is you put you first in your morning. And the philosophy that I like to say is the 8-8-8. So 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours for you and your faith, your family, your exercise, your meal planning, your eating, and 8 hours of work. And so the 8 hours for you could be 4 hours before the work and 4 hours after the work. Now, maybe you still have a job and you're working to build your business outside of that. This is where I was saying, where I had my own private practice and I was launching online. It required full attention and energy at that time. And so maybe the 8-8-8 looks like 8 hours at your job. And for a period of time, part of your personal 8 hours might look like going towards building your business outside of that job. So when I first started doing these events and launching online, they would be at 7 or 8 o'clock at night after I was done seeing clients for 12 hours. And so it felt crazy at that time. And it was 100% worth it, because if we don't do something different, nothing changes. And it's what helped me get to where I am today, which is where I dreamed of a decade ago. Literally reimagined this version of my business and what I'm doing, the studies that I've done over a decade ago. And mastery, which is what I like to teach in self and business mastery, is what they call the 10,000 hour rule. So have you guys heard of that before? It takes 10,000 hours to master anything. And so if you put 1,000 hours a year in for 10 years, you can master whatever it is that you want. And this is what athletes do, right? We wonder why. My dad loves sports, and these athletes get paid so much. And when they don't play well, he's like, why are you making $10 million? And I'm like, because even though it's not well, it's still better than 98% of what the population can do, because they've achieved mastery. So I want you to think about that for a second. For the next decade, what do you want to be the master of? Is it your health, your fitness, your business? Is it education? Is there your zone of genius? For me, it was holistic, personal, and business development. Bob Proctor was one of my mentors, and I absolutely loved him. And he truly mastered personal development and human potential, mastering what we're capable of, and then helping people get out of their own way so that they could truly create a life they love and by design instead of default. And now I get to do the same thing. So for the next decade, what do you want to master? So just thought I'd share that. Think about that for a second. And we always want to remind ourselves that the time is going to pass anyways. This is where I said in the beginning, whatever is in your calendar, you're trading your life for. So I hope it's worth you, because the time is going to pass anyways, and it's going to be filled up with something. And don't you want to be the person who gets to choose what that time is filled up with? And so it might take you a little bit of time. Often when I make my new dream schedule, it takes me about 90 days to actually get it fully in play. Not as long now. Before it did, because I'd have to move clients around, move this contract, this, that, and the other thing. Now I can do it often within a month or so. But it could take you up to 90 days to fully implement this new schedule that you're giving yourself. So give yourself grace and move and start to adjust one thing at a time until you're at this new schedule. And you know what's cool? Once you get to that new schedule, if you keep studying and growing, it's probably time within 90 to 120 days, like 3 to 6 months, to do it again, so that you are more focused and prioritized instead of just adding more and more and staying busy and overwhelmed. So then the next thing that we want to look at is what I like to call containers. And so some people call them time blocks. I like to call them containers. And why we call them containers, because if you've been to our Business Bliss workshop, where we teach the keys of manifesting and goal achievement, the first is ideas. Everything is first generated with an idea. Then it's your thoughts. We win or lose in the mind first. Then we have to put a plan into place. And we always create a plan from the end in mind to create new results. If we create from where we are, we only get more of the same. And then we have to get into action. And then belief is the fifth key. So without action, nothing happens. And so when we're talking about manifesting or creating or goal achievement, there needs to be a container for what you're asking for to flow to. Does that make sense? So for an example, one of our clients does network marketing. And I said, you want to have a dream team. That's your next step. Show me in your calendar where your team meetings are and your leadership meetings are. If they're not in the calendar, that's telling the universe that you're not ready for the team yet. And so some people say, I want to be financially wealthy. Well, show me where the container is, where you're increasing your financial intelligence, and the containers or your bank accounts where you're investing and saving. Without the container, There's nothing for what you're asking for to flow to. Okay, so when we now create our new dream schedule, we need and require the containers in the schedule for what we're asking for to flow through. And so, what containers now need to be put into your calendar holistically? So, looking at your business as a whole and looking at self mastery. So, for us, self mastery is your vision, your goal, your mindset, your self image, your habits, and your wellness. And so, where's your wellness? Where's your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional time? Where in your business or in your calendar are the time blocks for sales, surveying, operations, management, development, research? And under management goes financial management, right? Managing your team, managing your finances. And so those are the key parts of owning and operating your business holistically, because you can market till the cows come home, but if you can't close a sale, it doesn't matter. If you can market till the cows come home, but if you didn't get the right branding and messaging, it's falling on deaf ears. So that's why for us, it's really important that we look at the business as a whole. We know it's not one magic thing that makes it all work, it's the whole thing. So when you're creating these containers for self and business mastery, you're looking at where are your habits and what are the things that you love. So we joked about this earlier when I was first told to schedule my fun and my time off. And I thought, well, that's no fun. But I realized if I didn't schedule it, didn't happen. And actually, we used to interview people at the time. It was part of our exercise. And we would ask the 5 closest people in our life, what are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What's in my blind spot? How can I improve this relationship? How can I add value to your life? And one of the things that came up a lot that was in my old blind spot was what I always canceled was the fun and friends and family time, or at that time, specifically with my boyfriend. He'd be like, you know, you're building the business to have a life you love, but you always cancel these things. And I thought, he's right. And when I started to make sure I didn't take them out of my calendar, they actually started to fuel me and bring and fill me up and make me even more excited to show up in my business. And so when you're creating these containers, I want you to look at yourself as a whole and your business as a whole. And so the container is one thing. So you could create it like a time block. What I want you to get really good at is making it very specific. So you will, if it says meal planning, right, or meal prepping, when you show up for that time block, instead of being like, what am I going to make? And you spend, you know, an extra half hour trying to figure it out, already come prepared with your recipe. We're going to make vegan stuffed peppers for the first time. So that's our next recipe we're trying out. For your business, if you say, I'm going to have a sales and marketing power hour, what most people do is they put that container or time block in their calendar, and then they show up to the calendar and they spend a half hour scrolling. They didn't intentionally engage, and then they don't get the work done that they really wanted to. So it's showing up to that time block with already knowing what content you're posting, knowing what strategy you're using, knowing who are your hot leads and who you're reaching out to. Because my inboxes get crazy. Even my emails, I have 2 email inboxes, they get crazy. Plus, you have all the social inboxes, plus text, WhatsApp. There, I could spend forever just getting back to messages and never go deep in a relationship because I've just spending time saying hi to people or turning down pitches. And so instead, in that sales and marketing power hour, you would show up and have your hot leads list, and you would start there versus just going and answering all the messages in your inboxes. So we might say, like, again, you might have a sales and marketing power hour, but the goal is to create the structure. So I usually will do it the night before when I close my office to know exactly what I'm going to do in that time block the next day, instead of showing up and hoping I do the work. And there's something about willpower. So our willpower diminishes. This is scientifically proven. They've done some studies with this, that our willpower diminishes the more we use it. And so our willpower is often the strongest during the day. And so one of the things that diminishes our willpower is decision making. And so if you can remove all those decisions from that day and already have it planned and ready to go, what you're going to eat, what you're going to do in that time block, you will actually have more willpower to actually do the work. Instead of spending half of your willpower on deciding, what am I going to do in this time block that I put in my calendar? So setting yourself up for success. So we started with, what is our dream day? And the number one principle was that you put yourself in first, right? Yourself, your faith, your family, the things that are in alignment with your values. Because we want to build that dream business around our dream life and not build ourselves another job. Because I did that for years. Oh, I restructured my business, but it was just another version of the same thing. And when I had a coach tell me, "You're always late, Heather. Why? Show me your calendar." And I showed her my calendar. She goes, "But you work for yourself. Did you make the schedule? Where do you go to the bathroom? Where do you take breaks?" I used to see clients all across the GTA, from downtown Toronto to Richmond Hill to Oshawa and Bowmanville out to Burlington and Oakville. Like, I mean, the whole thing. So sometimes I spend 3 to 5 hours a day in my car, and I'd see clients all over. And I never scheduled bathroom breaks. So, of course, the bathroom break would be required, obviously, and then I would be late. And so she said, you setting your own schedule and you're setting yourself up for failure. And at that time, it really was like, whenever my clients need me and works for them, I put them in the calendar. It wasn't like, what works for Heather, and then put the clients around that. And it was kind of a scarcity or lack or fear mentality, right? That if I didn't make it work for the client, that they wouldn't work with me. When I started doing this and changing how I worked, and this was in 2017, it made a big difference for my business. I took a blank slate, which is your next exercise, is to take a blank slate, Sunday to Saturday, put yourself, your faith, your family, all the things that fill your cup in first, and then the business around it. All of a sudden, I was doing hot yoga at 6 a.m. before I even saw clients on the days that I didn't have to see them at 6:30 in the morning. I had bathroom breaks, a lot less UTIs when you're holding your bladder all the time, driving around the 401 and the DVP, which it's supposed to take 20 minutes and could be there for hours sometimes. If you're from Toronto, you understand. We say there's two seasons, construction and winter. And so you never know what it was going to be like. And so when I started to put myself in first, everything changed. My study time, my gratitude journal in the morning, journaling my affirmations and goals before I went to bed, it made such a difference for me. And so I ask you to do the same. And while you're doing this and thinking about this, I want to share another philosophy from the book, The One Thing, which I talked about and recommend highly, is he explains that we have glass balls and a rubber ball. So your health is a glass ball. Your integrity is a glass ball. Your relationships are a glass ball. Your business can be a rubber ball. So many people have so many things that sometimes come up, elderly family members. There's been tons of things that's happened in our family, concussions, brain injuries, where I literally redesigned my life so I could support my family and put them first, and knew that the business will bounce back, and restructured my life because you don't get that time back with those people. And so your business can bounce back, but your health, your integrity, your relationships, that time of the things you won't get back. And same for a lot of people who have babies, right? You're a CEO of an empire, you're running a business, and maybe you're running it lean and without a team. And all of a sudden you have a baby and you don't get that time back with that little one. And so always remember that the business can be a rubber ball and bounce back. You just don't want to lose complete trust with your audience. So how can you do the minimal to still show up and feel an integrity without letting the whole thing go? And I've done this multiple times. I even when I reimagined this version of my business and restructured my life so I could help support some family members and do things a little differently, I paused and I asked myself, what was really important? Well, people love my content online. Let's make sure that we're still connecting and supporting online. So I actually went back and looked at all my content that was the highest performing over 2 years, pulled out my favorite and the high performing quote graphics that were in our branding, and I repurposed them with other stuff for a whole year while I reimagined my business and was supporting other things in my life other than just my business being my focus. So there's always a way. We just want to ask ourselves, right? What's going to help me get that largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort? And I was like, repurposing content. I can write new copy. Maybe I'll just reuse the graphics. And that's exactly what I did. So there's, when we're creating this dream schedule, I want you to ask yourself, what balls are you balancing? And the truth is, in life, people say, I'm trying to create work-life balance, which it works for some times, but there's different seasons in life and there's different seasons in business. So the truth is, it's not really about balance, it's about focus and priority. And so what in all the things that are on your to-do list, which I like to call my integrity list or my priority list, all those things that are on there, which one of them is going to help you get to where you want the most, and what can wait till later? So when you're thinking about rebuilding this dream schedule and you're building it around yourself and your life, and you have and also entrepreneurs, we are amazing idea generators. Yes. Yeah, I know, because I'm the one who has the list of like, we're going to write this book, we're going to write this book, I have like 5 events I'd love to run. I'm restructuring my podcast. There's so many things. And I had to ask myself, what's most important? Number 1 in the business, sales and serving. And then which of all the things do I love the most? It's actually my podcast and my show. So the other things are going to wait for later, and I'm going to restructure that first. Priority, focus, prioritized. So now when I'm going to go make my dream schedule, I'm going to put myself, my faith, my family, my exercise, my meal planning, my studies, my prayers, all of that in. And then I'm going to 100% make sure there's a podcast container. And so I want you to think, you're going to make a list of all the things that you have that you'd like to do. And here's where most people fail. They go and they put container podcast and give themselves an hour. And it's actually probably about 3 different time blocks. And we're all famous for this. I know I'm famous for this, where I'm like, I'll be able to do this within an hour. And it actually takes 3. And so when you're going and making a list of all those things that you're going to do or you want to do, you're going to prioritize and you're going to choose one. And then you're going to put the containers for it in that calendar. And so for an example, for the podcast, instead of it just being a container saying podcast, there'd be multiple containers. There's containers where I connect with people to see if they're potential guests. Then there's containers where we actually do a pre-planning episode. Then there's containers where we actually record. Then there's the container for the production of it and uploading it. And then there's a container for marketing it. So I think I just listed 5 different containers. So see how we like to lie to ourselves? We're like, oh, it's just going to be an hour. And then that's why things don't get done. And that's why they stay on the to-do list forever. Or you go into that time block and go, it's way too much to do. And so I'm just not going to do it. And we go into freeze mode. And so when you're building this new dream calendar, I really, really, really want you to be realistic with yourself. And so one of our key things that I teach and I do is at the end of every day, I look at how long things actually took. So when I start my day, my calendar says one thing. And as the day goes on, I update it so that by the end of the day, it actually says exactly what everything is that I did and how long it took. So for an example, updating a sales page. I'm very particular. So, it could be super simple. It's like one thing I need to do on there, but I know the creative mind's going to be like, well, we're going to change this. And it always takes longer. And what size should the button be? What color should the text be? Like, there's so many little different steps to each thing that things often take way longer than we actually give them. And so if we can start quantifying how long things actually take, you'll be able to set yourself up for success and have a more calmful and peaceful day. Now, another thing you might want to do is when you're doing this full week schedule is have certain days themed. Because I named 5 time blocks for the podcast, but maybe all of that goes in one day. Maybe one day is all client calls. One day is all external calls and connects calls and sales calls. And then the other day is marketing and PR calls. And then I have admin Mondays, because we're lying to ourselves as business owners if we don't give ourselves the space for planning and all the operations and things that go along with the business. So I have admin Monday, no calls allowed. If I want to sit outside in my spandex shorts and cook in the sun, then I can and do it from my computer. And actually, I was working from my computer last night, messaging you all, and my neighbors were passing by, and he was like, "Oh, it's so nice that you get to work outside." And I said, any chance I get, that's where I'm at, outside with my computer. That's part of how I get to structure and create my schedule. And so just thinking about that right now, thinking about that dream schedule versus your current schedule, what do you think's missing for yourself? Are you missing in the calendar your exercise, your nutrition, meditation, breath work, studying all the self-mastery principles? I talked about the different areas of your business, sales and serving. If we don't sell, we can't serve. So those are the 2 top priorities: sales and serving, marketing and branding, operations and management, and development and research. And so, is there one of those containers that are missing? And do you have specific things in your business as well? Love that. So time for career is missing. Love that. And what does that look like for you? Like, what does that mean for you? What would it look like if you had it in there? For me, my number one thing was me. I was what all the things for the self-care, self-mastery. I nailed it. I studied. I was actually studying in like 2 different Bob Proctor programs, studying with Kelly Roach, um, landmark. There were so many different things. So like self-mastery, nailed it. Self-care, downtime, turning off, doing nothing, having a time block for doing nothing. Those never existed before. So for you, that looks like beautiful. I love that. So now ask yourself, what would that look like to have that back in your calendar? And for development and research, that also means development for you and your business. So remember, we're working on mastery here. So always continuing our studies, our education, adding more tools into our toolbox, becoming a category of one instead of blending in with all the noise that's online. What's going to help separate you amongst the crowd? So what do you have for your self-development in there? For me, addicted to personal development. That was never a problem. It was the making the time for the yoga, for the meditation, and really for friends and family and social life if that was important to me. Yes, so it looks like having a calmer nervous system and some fear. So, what I like to say is we get to perceive it how we want. So, we can call it fear or we can call it excitement, because we are either living in our comfort zone where there's no growth for us, or we're living outside our comfort zone, which feels like we're on the edge of a roller coaster every day. And we're going to get, instead of labeling it fear, we're going to call it excited and curious. I am going to Wonderland next week with my, we do an annual trip, my sister, my niece, and her best friend. And they were a little smaller before, so we didn't have to go on all the crazy rides. Last year, we went on two of the bigger ones. The first time I went down it, I literally couldn't breathe. No air was going in or out. And when it finally stopped, there were tears coming down my eyes. And we went again at the end of the day. Right. And so the second time I was more excited. But the first time, I think I couldn't breathe because I had worked myself up to be so afraid of the ride instead of excited for it that I almost psyched myself out. Now, next week, I'm going to be more prepared because they're a little bit older and we're going on all of the big rides. And so if I have no voice next week and I'm online, well, I'll know why. And because I will be screaming across the park. But when we're living outside our comfort zone, it kind of feels like that. Kind of feels like we're on the edge of a roller coaster. You know, when you get, have you been on a roller coaster before? Give me hands up. Have you? Yeah. Do you know what that feeling is when you're like going over the edge and it's like butterfly slash you might throw up, but you're not sure, but you're excited, yet you're scared? That's what it's like to build something from nothing as a business owner. You're creating something from nothing, right? There's no detailed outline that says A plus B equals C. Here's your career path. You're figuring it out along the way. They say that entrepreneurs need to be able to see down the road and around the corner, right? And you can't see what's around the corner. So you have to imagine it or reimagine it or create it. And we want to expect what we want. So I talked about this a little bit yesterday. If we don't expect it, we aren't prepared for it. Let me say that again. If you don't, I always say expect magic and miracles. Expect everything to work out for you in your highest good and the highest good of all involved. Expect. So the law of observation says that our expectations actually impact the particles' behaviors. So you are literally impacting reality with your expectation. And you have the part of the brain called the reticular activation system that is filtering information. So if you're focused on the fear, it will filter information to validate that in your reality. If you focus on excitement and curiosity, it will filter that information. Your brain takes in 11 million bits of information per second. You would go insane if you had to do that all consciously. So consciously, you only compute about 126 bits of information of those 11 million, and the rest gets done unconsciously. And so where your focus goes, energy grows. And where your focus goes, your brain deletes, distorts, and generalizes that information based on your focus. So you always have an opportunity to change your perception and focus on what it is that you desire. So we talked about earlier in this masterclass, the contrast. This is identifying the what's not working, and then the what you would prefer. So a calmer nervous system and curiosity and excitement. And so I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And then hopefully that should help you shift that perception a little bit and just see life as a little bit more of a fun roller coaster. Without a seatbelt, though. No, I'm just kidding. Life does feel like that, doesn't it? It's like you're on the roller coaster without any seatbelt or block that's on you. Okay, so the three tasks from today is what's your dream day and create the containers. Now, one of the things I had suggested to help you create the containers was list out everything. I gave you the different areas of your business, different areas of self-mastery, make a priority list. And then I want you to choose that priority and then create the container for it in your calendar. And remember, I gave the podcast example instead of just like a container for a podcast. Break down the standard operating procedures that actually go along with all of that so you can set yourself up for success and be realistic with how long it actually takes. Because otherwise we get into freeze mode, overwhelm, and nothing happens, or we do a lot of things, just not really well. And then the next exercise was to start with a blank slate and put you in first, and then your family, your vacations, your business, your studies, and design your dream calendar, and then step into it with inspired action. And so the inspired action is expectancy. It's expecting what it is that you truly desire so that you get it and you're prepared for it. Because if we're not prepared for it, the opportunities will actually show up and they're going to pass us by. And so making sure that we set up those containers, not only so that we're prepared, but so that there is a space for what we're asking to flow into. So what's one of the containers you guys are going to put in your calendar? Let me know in the chat. Would love to know one of the containers. And while you do that, I'm just going to do a quick overview. So amazing. We're almost coming to the very end of our 3-day Reimagine Masterclass, where you're reimagining, number one, your vision, because all successful people are pulled forward by a vision. Without a vision, we're wandering aimlessly and we have no boundaries, and we're saying yes to whatever comes our way. Instead of creating by design, we're living by default. So vision is essential. So what's that vision for yourself, your life, and your business? And we began to consciously co-create. We also talked about the transformation process, what happens once you decide on the vision. So super important to watch that lesson. And then yesterday we talked about reimagining your personal and your brand image. So I gave some great examples of different companies that I've had experiences with where one was amazing and one wasn't. And I want you to think about your brand. What's that feeling you want people to have when they interact with your brand? And we worked on self-image. So make sure that we listen to that lesson, because they explain the neuroscience behind the huge importance of a self-image. So your self-image is your unconscious glass ceiling. And if we don't change the self-image, nothing changes. And so there are some journaling exercises for the first 2 days. And I realized that I made the first day, like each one of your future journal or future diary, like had a page. You don't have to fill out the whole page. You can literally put a paragraph. Just start. I give the space in case you want to keep going, okay? And just start to generate the ideas and get the information down on paper, because again, where your focus goes, energy grows. Love it. So first container going back in the calendar, very overdue vacation up north in Michigan. I love that. Super excited for you. I had realized when I started doing this that the only quote unquote vacations I took were literally for conferences or taking courses. I had done so much traveling the 1 year, but it was all to study. And so let's make sure that we can unplug. And so we rented a cottage with the family, and it didn't have Wi-Fi. That was a totally different vacation versus all the studying. So also be specific. What type of vacation are we looking for? What quality of vacation do you want? What is that going to look like? What are you going to do while you're there? Okay, so recap. Reimagine your vision. Reimagine yourself and your brand image. Today, creating that dream schedule. These are the containers. This is the magic of slowing down to speed up. Instead of being busy and overwhelmed, we're going to be focused and prioritize. And we're going to realize that we can take our time back. This is one of the most empowering exercises. And all of a sudden, you're going to achieve more in the next 90 days than most people will probably do in a year. Now, remember I said goal, plan, do, review. So this isn't a one and done. We must review. Most people, actually 80% of the population, sets their New Year's resolution and gives up by January 17th. And then the next year comes and then they do it again. And one of the reasons why they fail at it is because they try to change everything. So I asked you to make the task of all the different types of containers, but choose one first to get started with. And let's get focused and prioritize and use that quantum leap method. So which of those is going to help you get that largest result in the least amount of time with the least amount of effort? And make sure you're in your calendar. And remember the ball analogy. There's you get to choose what values you have and what priorities you have, and know your business can bounce back. Set it up for success first. That might look like creating a container and a calendar to create content and schedule your emails and have all that done so you can have 3 days off a week. Like, how did I take 2 days off my practice so that I could build my online business and focus on co-authoring in 2 books? I really focused and prioritized and structured and moved all my clients into those 3 days. And those other 2 days were very structurally timed. And at that time, on those 2 days, I studied for 4 hours every morning because I knew my personal development and my mindset was essential in order for me to get through that next evolution and transformation of me. So welcome to August. I was just going to say next month, but we're here in August. This August 29th will be my 15th anniversary of owning my own business. And I joked on day one that if you go back to my Instagram channel, which was late to the game of owning my business, you will see my first blog was Vegan Secret, not vegan anymore. You'll see that there's every single exercise and movement and reels with and without music. It was not the same at all at that time. That was in 2018, as I was a kinesiologist and personal trainer and wellness coach and nutritionist. Totally different version of my business. And so just know that I have reimagined and restructured and realigned my business multiple times. A few years ago, we scaled our business. We had a huge team. I read the book Profit First. Highly recommend it if you haven't. Realized what my profit margin was in my business and realized what would be required to scale it. And it seemed super exciting when I first did it. But I was saying at the beginning of the workshop that about every 2 years, we will most likely want to reimagine and realign our business because we're going to have change and grow. And so I did my timeline therapy, neurolinguistics programming, and hypnotherapy designation, changed my life, and had me restructure my entire business. Profit First, yes, by Mike Michalowicz, I believe is his name. Incredible, incredible, incredible. It's where we begin to learn to pay ourselves first instead of putting all the money back into scaling the business. Paying yourself first is essential. Most people, they take all their revenue and they pay all their expenses, and whatever is left, if there's anything left, is what they give to themselves. And instead, we're learning to pay ourselves first, save and invest, and what's left is what our expenses can be. And if that doesn't match up, we either need to reduce expenses or increase revenue, or in fact, both. And so we goal plan, do review our financial management every quarter too. And so love, love, love that book. It will change your life. And so we are wrapping up here, and I realize I haven't even extended the invitation. I get so passionate about people owning their calendar because I have had the opportunity to do it for 15 years. I had a 9 to 5 for 1 year, not for me being told what to do or how to do it. Super amazing for everybody else if it fits for them. Love it. Wasn't for me. And so I have been the person that my family would always turn to because I'm the business owner and I'm in charge. So can't you just do it? Or you can change your schedule or what have you. And so I've had this ability to be able to rework my life, my schedule, my versions of my business, all through some of these principles that I've taught for you guys this week. So I'm super excited for you to implement them and get your own aha wins and breakthroughs, and reimagine your life and your business and yourself to that next evolution of mastery of you. And so if you'd like to keep the momentum going, I would love to invite you to come and join us inside Success Principles Society. If you feel like you've got all you need from today, amazing. I encourage you to book a free vision casting call with me, where we will expand on your vision. And we actually use a timeline therapy technique where we will strategize and expand on your vision, do a visualization, and we will drop it into your future timeline in your unconscious mind. So that's my gift to you for booking the free vision casting call. And if you're ready to keep the momentum going, I invite you to come and join us inside Success Principles Society. Now, this is a program that I have reimagined 3 times over now. So the same foundation I always teach my clients for years. And I decided it was so important, it needed to be its separate course, not in just with the business mastery. So we taught it live as Success Principles in 2022 with an incredible group. And those co-working recordings are in Kajabi, our library, for you to study, as well as newly recorded ones. As I re-audited our NLP and timeline therapy and hypnotherapy course, and have evolved myself. And so it's literally just me teaching the lessons with workbooks that look like what you got today. So they're incredible Google document workbooks that you can use for yourself. And the key thing about these lessons that we teach is that it is self-mastery. And in our programs, we goal plan, do, and review them every 3 to 6 months. It's not a one and done. It's resources and tools that will last you a lifetime, that will help you keep evolving into that next level of mastery and that next level of you. And so inside Success Principles Society now, it is a self-study, 6 core lessons with 4 live calls. And so we meet every Wednesday, and it's either for a mastermind or a co-working call. So our masterminds are run like a strategic mastermind. I know a lot of people call things masterminds, but they're not actually masterminds. So we come together, those lessons, the masterminds are not recorded because our unconscious mind is not going to allow us to be our authentic self because it knows it's being recorded. So our mastermind sessions are not recorded. And you get to come and ask for support on whatever you need. And myself and the community are there to support you. And then you leave with a commitment that we put into our tracker to help hold you accountable to your goals. And the magic of that is accountability. Because one of the hardest things of being a business owner is you're your own boss and you have to keep your promises to yourself. One of the best things about being a business owner is you're your own boss, but it also can be detrimental to keep those promises to ourselves. And so that mastermind, we have our commitment. And so what I've realized was people need a time block for their commitment. So we created a co-working session where we all come together, share our wins, and then we all take action on our commitments. And I'm there to answer a Q&A for you guys. And then we just added in, so next month will be the first new one. It's a strategic co-working where I will bring a short lesson or task or something for us to do. It could be like, here's a type of post. Let's all create it and let's put it online right now. And we can share it in the chat and then we can all engage on each other's posts. Or it might be working on our self-image scripts. It'll be an actual strategic co-working session to help support you to continue to expand. And so let me show you exactly what that looks like. So it's 4 live monthly calls and 6 core self-mastery, self-study lessons. And those 6 core self-mastery, self-study lessons, reminder, they are resources for life. It's not a one and done. They will literally last you a lifetime. It's going to teach you on how to own your vision, how to own your goal, and how to own your mind, because we win or lose in the mind first, how to create and own your winning self-image, your high performance habits, because your beliefs show up as habits. So change your habits and change your life. And again, remember I said a lot of people fail at habit transformation. They try to change everything. So we work on using our habit tracker, and actually that free gift is on the replay page if you want to grab a habit tracker. Because whatever you track improves. And then our holistic health and wellness, because remember, we want to pour from an overflowing cup. Love the word overflow versus burnout. And so you get your downloadable workbooks and recording training sessions, access to our VIP community, 2 one-hour mastermind calls with Q&A, monthly co-working session, that's where we get into action, and then our monthly strategic co-working session with our incredible VIP community. Because remember I said earlier, one of the key and most important stages is action. If we don't take action, nothing happens. That's where our dreams and ideas go to die inside of us. We have quarterly VIP events. So we have guest speakers come in. Sometimes we also, last quarter, we did a breath work session. One of our clients led that. It was amazing. It's actually one of the best breathwork sessions I ever had. It was so good. And access to all the calls, the Kajabi library. Right now we use Kajabi and it comes with an app, which is my favorite thing and why I haven't switched platforms. Because I love that they're all right there on your phone. Our VIP community for 3 months. And so it is a monthly subscription of $113 per month with a minimum of 3 months. And then you can cancel at any time after that with a 30-day notice, or you can stay and keep studying with us. Why I asked for a 3-month commitment is that you study those 6 core lessons over the 3 months. So you're doing a new lesson every 2 weeks, and then we're there to support you to help you with it. We did have it once as a self-study and we had people do really well. We just know we are so much better in community and with accountability. And so sign-up bonuses that I have for you. I know there was a little confusion in some of the previous lessons and how I said it and what have you. So I'm just clarifying. I've extended the July sign-up bonuses till the end of today. So those go away at midnight. But everybody who signs up, you'll always get a 60-minute kickstart call with me. And this is for us to do strategic work on what is that vision? How are you going to use these lessons? What is your goal? What is your next step? What is going to be your priority? So we can help you get a win within those first 30 days. Within the first 30 days, the first two lessons you do are the Own Your Vision and the Own Your Goal. The Own Your Goal lesson is the Quantum Leap Blueprint. In our Own It Collective, we actually fill that out together every quarter because that's how powerful that is. And so having you get to write and create your own quantum leap blueprint in that first month is going to be so amazing. And so the sign-up bonuses that go away tonight are 2 45-minute one-on-one alignment mentorship calls with me. And the value of the 3 calls altogether is over $1,200. And so that's my gift to you today for jumping in and joining us. For the value of only $337, if you only stay in for 3 months, you're going to get $1,200 of one-on-one coaching. And why I wanted to do that this time is because I've just heard that so many business owners are struggling. They feel alone. They're working in silos. The economy has changed, so your business structure needs to change. Your marketing structure needs to change. Maybe you've changed and grown and you want to evolve your business and you need to get that in realignment with you. And so I want to hold your hand through those first 3 months. And so that's why I'm offering these 2 bonus calls so that I can support you. Because I know that we have the live calls, which is amazing, but having our own private time together can really help us strategize and create those quantum leaps that I know you're looking for. So again, it's only $113 a month for 3-month commitment. And then you can cancel at any time with a 30-day notice or just stay and keep partying with us and having fun. One of my favorite things about what I see with clients do is we've had a client who was a teacher. She came in, she originally did Success Principles on its own in the self-study. She was able to finish her nutrition certification. Then she came and studied with us. She created corporate wellness, her own one-on-one practice. And she got really into fitness when she worked on her self-image and believed that she could be a runner and do all these things. She got really into fitness. She's now a high rocks coach. If you know what high rocks is, it's like the incredible, amazing new like Spartan race, but for CrossFit. Super, super amazing. So now she's a high rocks coach. They've just built a whole new gym in their garage. Their whole family works out together, and she's inspiring and transforming lives, all because she paused to reimagine and slow down to work smarter, not harder. We've had people come in and just really reimagine their structure of their business. Again, get out of that busy and overwhelm and jump into like one focus and be able to scale a business. We had people come in who were going to close their doors when they first came in. And one of them is now selling the company. They've done so well. They expanded. We were able to make sure everything was cost effective in the business, and now they're selling it. And she's moving on to the next chapter of her life. Like there's so many cool things and results that we've helped people create. But if I could say the key things that it's going to give you is helping you own your time, live with purpose, get out of your own way. Nobody gave you a rule book of how your body works, how your mind works. The unconscious mind is a crazy, crazy thing, and we don't know much about it, or most people don't know much about it. And so this is, think of it like a roadmap that you need, that you never knew you needed, and that you were never given. And that's why I call it success principles. And so I would love to invite you guys to come and join us today. I would love to be able to support you. And when you jump in today, you'll get those bonus one-on-one calls. And our next call is next Wednesday, so August 6th, and you would be able to come and join us then. So I dropped the link there in the chat for you guys. Would love to have you. Would love to see you next week. We just had our other new member just join us last night. I got to onboard this morning. Welcome into our Facebook group, into our WhatsApp accountability chat. There's already an incredible group of conscious entrepreneurs that would love to meet you and that I'm sure you would love to work with. It's no accident that you're here. Energy, energy attracts like energy. Right? I attract conscious entrepreneurs that are purpose-driven, live for impact, and are ready to make that next transformation and leap themselves. So I would love to work with you guys. I would love to see you in our community. And I know that one of my key affirmations is that we attract the perfect premium clients that add massive value to our community in the world. And that's who I'm looking to attract. And so I'm so grateful for you guys and your time and your energy. And I know so many people are still watching the replays. So if you're going back and watching the replays, maybe you're doing them over. We have people coming. This is only our second time teaching this masterclass. So we have people coming back for their second time. Way to go. It's always new and updated because I'm new and updated. And we have people who are just kicking off the masterclass, and we have people who are finishing it. Wherever you're at, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Time is one thing you don't get back, and you chose to spend it here with us today. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time and your energy. And I really hope that you feel inspired and that you got an aha win and breakthrough throughout this workshop, and know that I'm here to support you every single step of the way. You are very welcome. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. We can book a free strategy call. And if you're ready to get started, and join us on Wednesday. And as soon as you sign up, you'll have access to those lessons and you could dive right in. And I would love to see you guys inside. So remember, expect magic and miracles. Stay happy, healthy, wealthy, and what is the best that can happen? And if you have questions and you're in the Zoom room, once I turn this off, I'd be happy to answer them. So see everybody on the inside, and remember, expect magic and miracles and stay happy, healthy, wealthy. We'll see you soon. Thank you.